We're live. There we go. I'm going to give it, 30, 45 seconds? Not even that. Let's get some participants showing up. Okay. Let's see if this number can start climbing. There we go. Okay. Well, welcome to the Monday morning sales call. My name is Christopher Clark. I am a regional agency director, and I am in the Colburn, Smith, Pritchett 120 hierarchy. Note right here, real quick to my notes, keep myself back on track. So it's first Monday call, and I'm going to do my absolute best to make it through this call without ugly crying. I am an ugly crier, and I just want to apologize in advance if that happens, because it's a real shame to watch, but that's okay. So the title of this call is Thank You, Matt. And I think it's really important for us to understand, just first off, why someone would name that Thank You, Matt. And I'm going to get into some numbers here. But first, I'm going to talk just about the importance of gratitude. My agency starts out every call, every meeting, the first 5 minutes of such, with statements of gratitude. Not overwrought, not overcomplicated, nothing that is too insipid, too complicated, just a sincere gratitude. And the reason we do that is because we understand through research done by a person named Sean Achor, Achor, Harvard Business School researcher, that understands that happiness is a competitive advantage. Happiness allows people to succeed in a career, but it also boosts longevity in a career. So I'm just going to read some statistics here that Sean has from his research. According to Sean, happiness is one of the greatest competitive advantages in the modern economy. Those who are happy experience 31% higher productivity, 37% higher sales, 3 times greater creativity, and 23% fewer fatigue symptoms. Happy people are also up to 10 times more engaged with their work, 40% more likely to receive a promotion, and 39% more likely to live to age 94. He has a great TED Talk that discusses this, but happiness, gratitude, it pays off. But our brains, naturally, as like the base mammal that we are trained to spot negative. We focus on mistakes, we focus on failures, we focus on criticism, which weakens our ability to process and see positive. The good news is that we can retrain our brains with practice and repetition. We can reprogram ourselves to change how we filter, how we interpret, how we react to the world. And by actively finding ways to practice gratitude, by practicing joy, by participating in social connections, our brains are going to retain a pattern of scanning the world for positive first rather than negative first. And that starts with us consciously making the effort to express gratitude. So as openly and clearly and transparently as possible, I can say this is a tragedy. It is heartbreaking. It is deeply personal to me. I feel like I lost an older brother, a business mentor, a partner, a friend, and I didn't have any of those growing up. So I don't even really know how to process this, because I lost something that I didn't appreciate while I had it. And it just sucks, but also by focusing on the gratitude, I'm so grateful. So thank you, Matt. I'm going to get into some numbers here on and help us understand why we do the uncomfortable things, why we go produce, why we finally take up that challenge to pick up the phone, why we take up that challenge to make the dials, why we take up that challenge to reach out to that person that we know that would be great at this job, but we don't feel qualified to have the conversation with them. It's scary, right? And I really would encourage you guys anyone intending to write down these numbers, because I think it's just mind-blowingly impactful. I'm going to start with the total number of applications taken by the Smith Master Agency. Total number of applications, 76,018. 76,000 applications. Total unique writers, 2,159. So just those right there. 76,000 families were impacted. I tried to do research to figure out the amount of people that were actually impacted by a life insurance claim policy. It's kind of hard. It's varying from LIMRA to one place to the other, but 12 was roughly the number that I came up with. So that what that would mean is out of the 76,000, that would mean 912,216 people were impacted by the Smith Master Agency writing policies. 2,159 people were unique writers. That means 2,159 people were given the opportunity to advance their lives. These are where the numbers get pretty ridiculous, but I think they're very exciting. Total APV written, $94,814,850.62. Do you understand what that means? That means that if we took that number and just said worst case scenario of 70% net placed average persistency combination, that means that by Matt getting out there with Brad and helping to build this business, over $60 million worth of income came in for families, for people that work in this business. Thank you, Matt. 76,000 families were protected. Thank you, Matt. 2,159 individuals were given the opportunity to seek a better career, a more impactful career with true wealth of time and money. Thank you, Matt. But here's this, this is just the coolest number. Total face amount, total death benefit, the total impact of what a person can do just financially. Go ahead and, do we have a chat? I wonder, no. I was gonna say, go ahead and just throw some guesses out there. 8,237,182,852.22. $8.2 billion worth of face amount, worth of death benefit. $8.2 billion worth of intergenerational wealth to protect one family to the next, one generation to the next. Thank you, Matt. Thanks, dude. For real. Thank you, Matt. That doesn't even really touch the full spectrum though, because that's just up to today. That doesn't take into place the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And the fact that some individual is going to receive a $250,000 death benefit from their family member to keep them in the house. And then they're going to be able to take that house. They're not going to have to sell it. They can use it for rental income. And the money that they make on that rental income is going to put a kid through college. And that kid is going to go to college. That kid's going to go to medical school. That kid's going to become an emergency room physician. It's going to save lives. Thank you, Matt. And that's just in this direct agency. How many of us have been so lucky to use the power dialer and the ninja dialer to schedule 1 or 2 more meetings in a week? That was Matt's project. That's Matt working in collaboration with Beverly Frazier, with his brother, Brad Smith, and their IT team. Thank you, Matt. And we scheduled 1 or 2 more meetings, and we were able to write 1 more app. We were able to protect 1 more family. We were able to pay our own bills. Thank you, Matt. We are able to provide protection for this family. And then we got a death benefit on that family. 10 days later. Thank you, Matt. I have an agent who sold her very first app, and the person had a massive heart attack 14 days later. I know another agency owner in the Smith Master Agency who sold a policy and the person died literally the next day. That family was protected. Thank you, Matt. I wasn't a great agent. I was an okay agent in the field at best, but I had a really high issued place number, net issued place number. And people would ask me why. It's because I used a virtual mentor. I didn't have the time, the energy, the maturity, the emotional bandwidth. I didn't have a lot of things, but I just relied upon the virtual mentor. I had that. Thank you, Matt, because Matt and Brad, along with Beverly and their IT team, created this. Some of us didn't know that. Thank you, Matt. Some of us didn't realize the power of one person. Some of us didn't realize the power of a person who just cared and worked selflessly without asking questions for our own betterment, tirelessly. Thank you, Matt, because I was able to protect families. And if you ever schedule an extra meeting with the Ninja Dialer, if you ever get an app place that you weren't sure if it was going to work because you used a virtual mentor, say thanks to Matt. And if you ever feel tired, sad, bitter, depressed, angry, stop for a second, have the gratitude, and say thank you to Matt, because Matt would want you to do better. Every time that we log into HQ, Matt helped work with that home office on that. He worked in collaboration with them on that. Say thank you to Matt. I'm only speaking from my position and my perspective, just trying to offer it to you all to help give you the understanding. But my personal peace that I feel is due in no small part to the privilege I had of being associated with Matt. See, what people don't understand is I'm direct directly contracted to Mike and Jennifer Colburn, who is directly contracted to Matt Smith. I share an office with Brad Smith. The love I have for those gentlemen is just, it's beyond words. And it still doesn't feel real to me, but I'm talking to my therapist about it and I'm trying to get there. But I want to offer some greater perspective as I continue to think, Matt. The Clark Master Agency has issued over $870 million in face amount, $9.5 million in APV, 7,871 applications. I have a stable business doing no small part to the leadership above me. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Brian. And thank you, Brian. Both Brians, both my Brians. I put myself in a situation to have intergenerational love. Now I'm not necessarily as concerned about paying my bills as much as I'm now focusing on the ability to pay for my grandkids' college because of just following a system and a path that was paid for me by these people. Thank you, Matt. My family is happier, healthier, more cohesive than it's ever been. And I didn't know what a healthy family looked like because I didn't have an example to live off of. I had no idea what a dad was supposed to do because I never had one. But I could look at the leadership and the family and the structure and the relationships that Matt and Brad had as mentors. Just people being an example. And I can say, thank you, Matt, for just understanding that you always had an ability to be accepting of others, regardless of who they are, what they did, what they didn't do. You managed to see the good in everyone. You could still challenge them, but you definitely accepted me when there was no reason to do so, when there was no evidence to the contrary that I was even worth your time. And I'm in a really strange time in my career right now. If I can be open and honest and vulnerable, I want to say thank you to Matt because the very first time I talked to Matt, the very first time I talked to Matt, they were on their 110 run, which is what 120 used to be. I had spoken with Brad, but I never spoke with Matt before. I knew that they were twins, but I never actually spoken with them before. And it was close to this time of the year. I think it was probably August or July, 5 years ago. They had a call and they were saying, everybody, let's rally together. We're going to do this. Let's hit this. I had just started. I mean, literally just started, maybe a month and a half, 2 months in. And I know it was this time of the year because I know where I was having to make phone calls from. And it was an embarrassing place. And I had to stand underneath a shade tree outside to get the phone service I needed to be on this conference call during the middle of the day. And then being so excited, and I was so bitter. These rich white dudes thinking that they're going to get me to call more people to write business for them. Who cares? Right? I didn't care. I was just looking for every reason to be ungrateful. And not only did that call happen almost exactly 5 years ago to the day, but the call happened when they were exactly in their career where I am right now. They were in the last week the last month of their 120 run to go direct to the company. And I am right now so humbled to be in the last week, the last month of my 120 run. I'm going to read the last text messages I had with Matt. I just think it's really important that we treat every day with gratitude. Man, this isn't even 10 days old. The last private text I had with Matt was, I said, we got you a present. I said, month 2 of 120, check. He said, oh man, exclamation point. That is great. 3 exclamation points. Almost there, 3 exclamation points. You got it, exclamation point. And I said, just realize that we are pulling for you. Give me the little fist bump emoji. And I'm gonna have to PG rate this next conversation. I was in a group text with Matt and Brad. They stupidly gave me his room number in the hospital, so I can't help but bully him. He's a passive person. I just can't help it. So I took the opportunity to mail him as much goofy stuff as possible, and DoorDash as much goofy stuff as possible to his hotel room or his hospital bed, just to make him have some fun. And I was letting him know that it was me that sent the sunscreen and the sunglasses and the inflatable pool floaties. But I also called Great American Cookie Company, if you guys know, like the pizza sized cookies that you can get from, I've only ever seen them in shopping malls, but that place. And I had them put some PG-13 language on it. And they did, which was great. But one of them also said, thank you for taking care of Matt Smith. We know he's a real pain, in the blank. And he was talking about that, how he got the one that just said the bad words on it. He said they laughed at him about it. I said, nice. He said they really appreciated it. And he said, thank you for doing that. I said, of course, more to come. And the last thing he said to me was, man, I appreciate you very much. I said, you too. The last time I spoke with him in person, I hugged him and I told him I loved him. I'm just so grateful. Man, I am sad. I am angry, but I am so grateful. And that's what I'm focusing on. Because I feel like today, that's all I can do. Tuesday morning, I woke up and I had a pop quiz. For all the hard work, all the books I was supposed to be reading, all the leadership development, all the personal development, all the stuff that Matt thankfully encouraged me to do. I've been studying for 5 years now, and I walked into a pop quiz. And I did better than I kind of thought I would. Thank you, Matt. But one of the most important things that I learned is that tragedy without opportunity to educate ourselves, tragedy without the opportunity to become better, tragedy without the opportunity to learn is just tragedy. And it makes no sense in this world. If we don't frame tragedy as an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, tragedy as an opportunity to feedback, tragedy as an opportunity to make better in the world, and tragedy exists for no reason, simply for the negative. And I don't want to live in that world. So thank you, Matt. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is a psychiatrist, and she said that beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths of despair. These people have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding that life fills them with compassion, with gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. I believe that is so important. It's from her book, Death, the Final Stage of Growth. Beautiful people do not just happen. Beautiful life do not just happen. T.H. White wrote in The Once and Future King, the best thing for being sad is to learn something. That is the only thing that never fails. You may grow old and trembling in your anatomies. You may lie awake at night listening to the disorder of your veins. You may miss your only love. You may see the world about you devastated by evil lunatics, or know your honor trampled in the sewers of baser minds. There's only one thing for it then, to learn. Learn why the world wags and what wags it. That is the only thing which the mind can never exhaust, never alienate, never be tortured by, never fear or distrust, never dream of regretting. And I would never dream of regretting taking this as something that I can use for good. And I know that Matt would lean into me and ask me pleadingly to make better of this and to use gratitude to do so. So the power of gratitude, that self-aware living needs to be important. Thank you, Matt, because there is so much to be grateful for. Thank you, Matt. Gratitude is the feeling of conscious appreciation for what we have, what we get to try to acquire, and even what we do not have. I believe being grateful for what we don't have is just as important as being grateful for what we do have. Let us be grateful for what we have done. The people who have told us no, because they've taught us that perseverance in sales is the most important thing. Thank you, Matt, for that conversation. Let's be grateful for those that we haven't impacted yet, because one day we will. We're going to get to help them also. And that's a wonderful thought. We get to use tools and implementation, learnings and teachings provided to us from our mentors. Thank you, Matt. Let's give thanks that we have so many products, so many services, so many carriers, that we don't have to live a life of being limited by what we can provide. Let us give thanks for the amazing ways that we get to help people. How lucky are we to be spreading this kind of good in the world? Thank you, Matt. Gratitude causes success. Thank you, Matt. But the most important thing to understand, the most important thing for us to understand is that you're in charge of your success. No one's going to be able to do it for you. You're in charge of your gratitude. You get to create it and you get to enjoy it. And that's something to be grateful about. But gratitude without action is just words. The best way for us to show gratitude to Matt, to Aaron, to his daughters, Addie, to Izzy, to Brad, to Bessie, to their children, Addie Harrison, Helena, to Edward Pritchett, his family who mentored these gentlemen, to Brandon, Brian, and Casey who founded this company, to their spouses, to every single person who's done something for you that you didn't even know, who's done something against you that you learned from, is to take action. Gratitude is a verb, and we show gratitude through words and action. So thank you, Matt, for teaching us the true power of gratitude. Thank you all. Have a great week. Love you all.